我が魂を揺らす大いなる力へこの身に宿り闇を引き裂く新たな光となれ。ペンデュラム召喚出現せよ私のモンスターたちを。全ての王をも滑る3体の超越士 DDD CEO Hell Armageddon。
Morning gang, I am Ariakirayas, CEO of Being Stupid. Today I am presenting a very bad deck that I used for the Extra Zero Festival. I finished the festival like 4 days ago, but I still wanted to get a 5 win streak so that I could flex on the masterduel meta site, but I failed. And I no longer want to play this garbage. So, presenting DDD OTK. Because you don't have an extra deck, and I love DDDs, and no other deck I have can play without the extra deck, I decided to be stupid and play garbage. The idea of the deck is that you set up Supreme King Declan, which can then set up Gate Infinity for free, essentially, and then Pendulum summon out your dudes and go nuts. Go nuts, beat your opponent, they explode, and you get gems. It's pretty cheap compared to a lot of other decks, but it's also very bad. So only play this if you just wanna have a giggle was playing just bad Luna Kaiju. Let's go through the card by card and then some options. Not like you would wanna play this in anything other than Extra Zero Festival. So first off, DD Curl. It's your small word bridge. Everything leads to DD Curl. DD Curl leads to everything. It even bridges on this. I can't spell. Even bridges this guy to anything that isn't exactly Dark. No, it actually bridges Dark One. Yeah, it bridges Dark One. I'm stupid. Not much to say. This is the least bad bridge, and it's also fine interaction against certain decks. Next, we have the Heart and Soul of the deck, DDD Supreme King Kaiser. First introduced in a one-shot manga that was very pointless. This guy negates the entire field and then can attack 3 times, which means that if your opponent does not have exactly 400 attack on board, about more than 400 attack on board, they die instantly. Now that I say that, 400 attack is a very low threshold for a guy to OTK, but it's something, and that's the idea of the deck. You destroy the board, have this guy kill the opponent instantly. Next, we have Oddai's Advanced Dragon, one of my the newest additions to this deck, and I personally think he's fine. He can tribute off a Gate Infinity or a CEO to get extra burn damage, and sometimes revive a Supreme King Kaiser if you aren't able to OTK that the second turn, your turn, yeah. And yeah, and also I love how this guy looks. Like, look at him, he's stupendous. I just like auras in general, but this design is just fabulous. And anyways, DDR Frost. This guy simply just turns Dark Contract with the Gate into MST, and that's good enough. That's just a good minor interaction. He also can theoretically protect you from very specific decks that try to OTK you, but most of the time they will OTK through or for us anyways. Next we have Declan. the main enabler for the deck and the reasons it's even viable. Before I discovered Dark Worm, I was just playing a bunch of guys like Kepler, like other scales, even Savan Newton, whose effect is complete garbage, but he's a 10 scale, and that's good enough. Anyways, back to Dark Worm. This guy sets up scales instantly and provides a follow-up, so he's just perfect. His monster effects barely matter, but sometimes you can summon him after a pendulum summon to get a Gate Infinity that you can use next turn if you can't OTK. I'm saying that you can't OTK a lot of the times, and I will explain that later. Supreme King Gate Infinity, he's just a scale 14 that can be set up by Dark Worm. It sucks, but you gotta do what you gotta do, and Dark Worm is a great card for the strategy. He can of course be sacrifice material for Advanced Dragon, and yeah, that's pretty much it. You always need to take into account that you cannot pendulum summon unless you have an empty field, which means you cannot summon Dark Worm, then use scale Gate Infinity for an OTK, which kind of sucks, but it's whatever. Then we have CEO Hell Armageddon. This is the only DDD king other than Kaiser that stayed to the final build, unlike Oblivion King Abyss Ragnarok and Super Saiyan Zero Maxwell, and also Zero Laplace and Zero Rage. The reason is that he gives a Supreme King Kaiser a bigger leeway to OTK. So like as I said before, Kaiser cannot OTK if your opponent has more than 400 attack, so 500 attack and up. And with King Armageddon, you gain free 800 times free, which is I cannot do math. 24, which means Supreme King Kaiser has a 2800 attack leeway in which he can OTK, which is very specific. But then again, even if you don't scale Supreme Doom King Armageddon, you can still summon him, and he's a guy. He's a big dude immune to Mirror Force, and that's good enough. Like, the other options are not better than this whatsoever, other than exactly Zero Rage, but he needs a bunch of dudes to be set up. And next is the funniest card in the deck, DDDD, Supreme Dimensional Sovereign Emperor Zero Paradox. And he is mainly played because he's a scale 10. Very anticlimactic, but he is just a dude with big scale and good effect. The reason I didn't choose Kepler over him is just because his effect will matter more than Kepler. Because with Kepler you would still need 2 more cards in hand to OTK, because you're not allowed to use Gate Infinity as a scale anymore. Whilst with this guy, you either get his effect and instantly win, or he's a scale. And yeah, the nuke actually matters a lot in big boards with a ton of back row, and most opponents don't have a way to negate this, so you're basically free to do a big nuke. Then we have then we have the 2 big back row removal, because Lightning Storm is banned. Then we have Desires. I added this last second in my final iteration of the deck. It's okay, I guess. Like, I almost banished 3 Ken Kaisers in a game, but I still won. It's alright. There isn't anything that you would risk losing you would risk losing, that you would actually regret using desires for, other than exactly the 2 striker cards. And speaking of the striker cards, Engage is cracked, of course, and yeah, free draws, free removal, that's good enough. And the reason I'm not playing Widow Anchor is because you usually would rather destroy a dude rather than negate it, and taking dudes is just straight up bad because of Get Infinity. So yeah, that's pretty much it. You would rather get removal to then OTK with Kaiser more consistently, and you don't wanna use the extra slot because of consistency again. Triple attack, 1-off because you can search with Frost. It's alright, I guess. With less hand traps that people really care about, this is less good. But being able to be searched with Frost makes it worth it one. Then we have Small World, searches the entire deck via DD Curl. DD Curl can actually also bridge into Dark One to then grab Supreme King Kaiser or Hell Armageddon, which is cool. Then we have Frost. It searches literally everything in the deck. I don't need to explain why that's good. The only thing it doesn't search is a contract with the Gate, which can be awkward because Small World needs a dude in hand to work, unlike Gate. And speaking of Gate, this searches everything. You can even search Orphros for back row removal, that's it. Twin Twisters is weird because while it is mass back row removal, it also needs a discard, which can sometimes be awkward, but honestly, it's up to personal preference. I'm playing 2 because I don't have crafting material, and that's it. Infinite Impermanence. This is a board breaker more than it is a hand trap, honestly. And it's come up really in clutch. The reason I'm playing this over Widow Anchor is because fuck you, that's why. I thought because it's a hand trap, and the Widow Anchor is not, despite it being searchable, but we don't talk about that. Speaking of options now, one of the options I thought about was, of course, cutting all the Supreme Kings and playing a bunch more DDD guys. So essentially my old build was just this, and this, this, and the Newton. Roughly like this. This was essentially the old build, and it kind of sucked especially because Zero Rage cannot be summoned. I realized later in the actual playtesting. Oh yeah, I also included Thomas. Thomas can summon Abyss, Ragnarok, or Armageddon, but those aren't good enough at OTKing. If you wanna OTK, you need to open multiple kings, whilst with Kaiser, you only need to open 2 kings. Abyss Ragnarok is a very weird one because, well, he's technically removal. He also needs a sacrifice, and Kepler cannot be used because of the Supreme King stuff, and you definitely aren't sacrificing Doom King Armageddon for it, for the effect. And Maxwell is fine as a one-off because you can. It's Dark Contract with the Gate can essentially just be a toolbox card, but without Kepler, it's less good to include the 2 one-offs, or hell, even the 3rd one-off, or the 4th one-off if you really feel like it. Laplace is kind of bad. He's just more strict. Maxwell, but he's summonable thanks to Dark Worm into Infinity, which is fine, I suppose. And yeah, oh yeah, there was an iteration of the deck where I didn't play Engage and the other Sky Striker stuff, and that was really bad. Sky Strikers help a lot in board breaking process and whatnot. So yeah, that's gonna be it. Not much else I can really say about this garbage deck. Don't play this. I'm telling you, don't play this. Maybe I will bring this back for a next future festival where you can play it, but I'm not sure yet. Have a good one. Enjoy the replays.